It's a beautiful day here in Ohio. We're just getting ready to leave here in the next half an hour. And I told Amy yesterday, I said, you do your top 10 list and I'll do my top 10 list. And she was all, well, I didn't go with all the horses here and I missed the last set. I said, it's fine. I said, your top 10 list is still your top 10 list. It doesn't matter. It's tough. I'm torn because, especially when I go back and look at last year and the year before, top 10 lists in January and February, those were horses that were good in January, and some of them admittedly didn't end up that good. So these top 10 lists, and then when you make projection lists, that's unfair because how you expect the horses to be isn't always just based on what you've seen on the racetrack. You know, a horse like Time Is On My Side, we spent a lot of money on this horse. I think he's a beautiful horse. I think he's going to be one of our best horses. But what we paid for him, is that a component? Is that a fair component? It's only human nature. I'm going to gravitate towards him, Punch the Clock horse that we paid a ton of money for. But is that unfair to horses like Affection, right? One of our better horses right now at the stable, who was sent here, bought off on gate, not even at a public auction, but not a public yearling auction. Or was she in that on gate? It doesn't matter. She was very mediocrely purchased and has turned out to be one of our better horses. So the projection, all these lists, you guys need to take them with a grain of salt, right? This is how I see the horses right here today. I'm looking at the list. I'm trying my best just not to put horses that I went with on here, right? And I think I did a pretty good job of it, actually, of putting horses on here that I don't generally go with. Trying to step back even 2 steps and say, okay, yes, we paid a lot of money for that horse. He's very flashy, but does he belong on the list today? Yes, this horse did well this week, but what about all the breaks in the past? I'm trying to take all the information that I have and look at a list of who are the best horses we have right now, this week, right now, in real time. And of course, it's imperfect, but it makes for some discussion, some dialogue, and some insight from me to you. So I started this list with probably 25, 26 horses. I whittled it down best I could to 17, and then from 17 to 10 was really, really tough. You know, I can tell you some of the horses that didn't make the list. Sweeney, I mauled them with last week, and he trotted awesome again on Saturday. Joel will be very, very happy to see Sweeney the next time he trains. Such a transformation from a horse that literally was scared to be in the barn to a horse that now I've let his head down, let his hobbles out, can almost take those hobbles off, I think. And he's all business. It's such an impressive thing to watch a horse mature mentally and physically, but mostly mentally over that period of time. It really is my favorite thing to watch are these horses go from what were they like the first day we put the harness on them to what they're like here in February. And it's pretty cool. And you know, especially since I have children of my own, and many of you do, but say watching Ollie play baseball and then attributing that to how these horses are training, it's really cool. So Arson I couldn't put on the list, even though he was absolutely flying on Saturday training and won the set easily on Wednesday. I couldn't put him on my top 10 list. I'm going to tell you why. A horse that I think is one of our better horses here in Ohio, but was like 5th or 6th locked in the whole way on Saturday and trained good on Wednesday. But again, these have to be our 10 best right now in my mind. So Irresistible Sun didn't make the list. Oh, Snap You, who's been awesome for forever. I just couldn't put her on the list. A horse that I think is one of our best horses overall. 4th again, 3rd or 4th in the set the other day, Friday training. And I know how fast she is. I think she literally, as I'm saying this, I still think she's one of our best horses. But Hallie in the Clouds, I couldn't put her in the top 10 list. Purple People Eater won her set and looked amazing. How many times have you seen me have a horse win a set and not put it in the top 10 list? Purple People Eater looked better than I've ever seen her on Saturday. Didn't make the top 10 list. So let's get to the horses that did. Let's get to the horses that did make the top 10 list. Coming in at number 10 is a horse that I think could be a pretty special horse, but I don't know just yet. He trots fast. He trots nice. Now, Joey's been going really easy with him Joey's gone with this horse for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, something like that. I went with him the other day, and you could tell he was in puppy dog mode. So in puppy dog mode, he's just kind of floating along. You really put him in gear, he could really trot. Over on the left shaft a bit, running in a bit. We got to break him to a head pole this week. What I mean by that is, you can't, some horses you can just throw a head pole out and go out and they're fine. Other horses, you put that head pole on them. Now, you'll see a line pole, or some people call a floating pole, on the horses sometimes. Usually what we'll do is go Murphy blind, then you'll put that line pole on. Now, that line pole connects to the line and a ring at the side of their head on the head halter, and it just kind of floats around. There's not as much tension. You go to that straight head pole, and it goes from a ring all the way back to the water hook on the harness. And it can be cumbersome, and it's something the horses have to learn to wear. So again, you have to break them to that, put them on smaller, not many people use the plain head poles anymore, so we just go to a really dull burr head pole first time on them, and let them go out. Let them go out and train, and they usually get used to it. So Mel Gibbs Swan, we're going to put break him to a straight head pole this week. He's not running in bad, but I would like to see him carry straight going into the turns. If you want to square yourself up going in and coming out of the turns, fine. But I don't want it to be over-exaggerated. And without a head pole, I think right now it kind of is. He runs in, getting the turn, and then comes out away from the Murphy blind, coming out of the turn into the straightaway. Yes, honey?
Mom wants to know when we're going to go get breakfast.
That's up to you guys, whenever you want. I already had
because everybody's hungry.
Okay, well then you just tell Mommy to pack it up and let everybody know. I'm ready. We're going to get some breakfast, apparently. So yeah, I want to break him to that head pole this week, but man, he can absolutely fly. He is a nice horse. Joey's right about that. I went with him on Wednesday, and I worked him up. I started him up pretty hard and worked him hard. Now the good news is he started out just over to the left of the middle of the shaft when we went on the track, and he didn't get any worse. So to me, that could be a number of things, none of which are important. If it was bone or a curb coming, something of that nature, you'd see him creep over even further and further and further on the shaft, run in even more in the turns, and he isn't. What he goes on the track with is what he stays with. So I think it's just him learning how to, he could have a stifle that's maybe a little bit, much like your shoulder could be in the morning, a little stiff or something, and that's just working as an athlete. That's just working to a place where you're not any longer. So we'll put a blister on his stifles, his knees, hocks, and he'll come back over straight, but man, he can really, really trot. Number 9 is a horse. I was torn on this horse. Did he belong on here? I know how good he looked on Wednesday, and then James loves the horse too. I didn't want to put this horse on because we paid a lot of money for him. I wanted him to earn his way onto this list, and ultimately I thought that he did. Time Is on My Side is one of the flashiest horses we have. He is really, really good looking, and once we get those, I can't wait to see what he looks like with the flip-flops off. And it's hard to explain to you. It's a shoe with a plastic part, another shoe, an aluminum shoe, steel shoe. None of that matters because you don't know, right? And the difference between aluminum, steel, flip-flops, grab, no grab, sometimes can be immense. And not only is it a big deal, that change in itself, but allowing that horse to grow from that moment is huge. So taking the flip-flops off, instead of the horse being a little tentative in the straightaways, now that horse is stretching out. Now it might take a training trip 2, 3, 4, but at some point you're really going to see them start to blossom. And that might lead to the question, well, why do we have the flip-flops on that they're going to slip? There's give and take and everything. Flip-flops are great for horses with their feet are getting a little sore. Now, in the past, we've had vicious cold winters, and the track can get hard sometimes. Having those flip-flops on would be helpful. But Joe Stutzman's done a great job with his track this winter, and Mother Nature's been extremely kind to us. And truthfully speaking, nobody even needed the flip-flops on this year. But we had them on. We executed the plan that we were going to put in place, and we did. Time Is on My Side has just been very, very strong. And even on Wednesday, I just saw that attack mode that I was waiting to see. And he just looked very, very good. So Time Is on My Side comes in at number 9. I would love to see him and all our good horse that we paid all the money for, that we thought had that world-class pedigree, get to 1, 2, 3, 4. But ultimately, we want to have the best group of horses we can. And whether he's number 9, number 1, or number 27, it doesn't matter to me as long as our entire group are solid. Number 9, Time Is on My Side. Number 8, she is going to make her way up higher. Amy put me on the spot yesterday and said, who is our best green shoe filly? I wanted to say Insider Trading because I think she is, but I can't remove Royal Emeralds from the discussion. Royal Emeralds, incredibly fast filly, but the tenacity and the toughness of her that she showed last week in training with her foot when it was sore, she had an abscess come out. That was impressive. That really caught my eye. That shows a horse that is truly focused on her work. And I had made a break in the set yesterday, but if I'm not mistaken, she put it on them pretty good yesterday training also. Royal Emeralds, yes, Flash Fly is in the mix also. Who else? Obviously, Insider Trading is one of our best. Goldbug Hanover looks like she's really, really coming on. And then you look at some of the colts. I think Pull the Shoes is in a place right now where we got to change. She's in a bit of a transition. We got to work with her and get her squared away properly. But we can do that. And this is no different than Flashfly was. This is no different than Insider Trading was or Royal Emeralds was. They all go through these stages where they're trying to do it right. And I think I do have to say right now, it's a toss-up kind of between Insider Trading and Royal Emeralds, but Royal Emeralds is iron tough, and she easily can come in at number 8. Now, number 7. Where are you at, number 7? Number 7, Sedona Hill. I went with Sedona Hill yesterday. She looked very, very good yesterday training. Very happy with this filly. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with her this year. She's got the right attitude, and, she was a little grabby in the face. I moved her over to the front. I let somebody go. And when I let somebody go, usually, especially with babies, they'll get grabby, right? They want to continue to fight and race. They don't really have the wherewithal to them yet where it's, okay, that horse is now cleared to settle. It takes time for the horses to learn how to do that. Sedona Hill, as soon as the horse cleared to the front, just kind of coasted up on it was Amy's back. Coasted up on Amy's back, and then she dropped the bit and settled. But as we got halfway around the last turn, she started to pick the bit up again. And as I started to creep out of that 2-hole, she really was in play mode. I moved her over, and it was full speed ahead all the way down the lane. Got up to beat Oh Snap You. Both those fillies looked good, but Sedona Hill looked like she was coming back to the Sedona Hill we were raving about at the start of the winter. Number 6, Really Don't Care. This is a really, really nice filly. Amy loved her. Everybody that's gone with her really loves her. She's got a lot to offer. She's really fast, strong filly, and bred very, very well. This is a filly. I think we paid $70,000 for this filly. This is a first foal from an explosive matter sister to When Doves Cry. That's a very, very strong family, maternal family, all the way through. The fact that we got her, I thought, was interesting enough. This is a Chapter 7 filly. It's not like this is a first crop horse or this is an off-brand sire. This was Chapter 7. To get this filly with that breeding, I thought was a pretty lucky stroke of business. And then watching her train, she is as advertised and more. She is very, very strong, very quick on her feet, and I think is going to be one of our nicest horses in 2023. Number 5, Memory and Imagination. This horse easily could be number 1 right now. But remember when I talked to you about the parameters of this video a few minutes ago, one of the most important things was what are you doing lately? And has that been going on for a long period of time? If a horse just jumped up and looked great this week, all right, I'll give you your props. He looked great. But what about the week before, the week before, the week before? This horse is now just hitting his best stride because we had castrated him. As a stud, he was just a mongrel of a horse. Just didn't want to do his work, just wanted to be rotten all the time. And I really, and by rotten, I just mean if you pushed him over, he'd fight against you. If you tried to lead him out, he'd balk. If you wanted him to stop, he'd go forward. Just frustrating animal. And when we castrated him, I certainly didn't expect him to change this much, but there is quite a change in Memory and Imagination. He looked awesome all week, and I'm telling you, he could easily be number 1 today, but the horses ahead of him have been doing it perfectly for quite a while. So number 5 is Memory and Imagination. Another horse. This is a Father Patrick. The Father Patricks look good right now. Very, very good. I can tell you that 3 of the best horses in our stable are by Father Patrick. 3 of them. Now, does that mean when push comes to shove in July, they'll dissolve and disappear? I don't think so. I mean, Father Patrick's still throwing a lot of really, really good horses. This isn't the hit and miss part of Father Patrick, I think everybody would agree, was their attitudes. Memory and Imagination type of horse where, just be rude and ignorant, and then we castrated him, and immediately he just came to life. Yeah, their attitudes are in question, but the 3 horses I'm talking about at the top of this list, their attitudes are not in question now. So, memory and imagination, number 5, easily number 5, and I think you're going to see him come forward in a big way over the next month or so. Number 4, Venice Blue Chip, just the sheer power and speed of this filly. One of Amy's projected top horses, and I have to agree with her. This filly's just got a wealth of ability and talent, not without her shortcomings over on the left shaft, but on the right line, which is weird. What that probably is, knowing her, how frail and tall and fast she is, I'm going to say her knees bother her a little bit. Maybe that right knee, she doesn't show it, I'm guessing. Right knee bothers her a little bit, and then she had a curb that kind of came, and it didn't come. We blistered it, tried to get it to pop out, and it didn't. I'd say it's still biting at her a little bit. Right. That would be the right curb, which would push her over on the right knee, left curb. That would, I'm incorrect. My brain is backwards today. Left knee, right curb. Right curb would put her on the left shaft. Left knee would put her on the left line. Although, she does have a Murphy blind on that side, so that could do it also. I think it's one of these situations where you just keep an eye on her. We're going to keep blistering her. We've had the vet look at her, and he doesn't see anything wrong with her. But there is, superficially speaking, there's no denying she is on the left line, she is on the left shaft. So that would say to me, without a doubt, there's 2 small issues. One is in the right hind, putting her on the left shaft. The other one is in the left front, putting her on the left line. So we need to work on, I would guess, as I said, a big, tall, lanky filly, left knee, might have a little pinchiness to it, which most of them do this time of year. They're just learning to work through it. They're growing up and maturing. So the most important thing is to back off until you get her square in the jog cart and square in the lines. But speed, certainly no issue with this filly. She has got lots to offer, and she is a powerhouse of a filly. Very, very fast. We were flying on the end of it yesterday, and there was no getting close to Venice Blue Chip going under the wire. Amy had us by half a length at the head of lane, and it didn't seem to matter how fast we were going. We just couldn't make up an inch on her. She was just that dominant yesterday training, and Amy was just motionless in the jog cart. Just a very, very nice filly. Venice Blue Chip, really, really happy with her. Number 3, Drebin. There's no knocking Drebin out of the top 35. This horse is just sheer power. I won a mile in 2:36 the other day on Tuesday, and literally almost did a seesaw going under the wire. He was that strong. Not strong in the face anymore. He's very attentive and understanding of his work. On the right line a little bit, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that take that line pole. We 2 line poles, 1 on each side, a Murphy blind outside because he'd get out. Now, here's the issue. Not getting out anymore, and the knee that he does touch is the inside knee. Take that Murphy off and let him get out a little bit, or take that line pull off and let him get out a little bit. So I'd like to see him carry on the left line a little bit, away from that left knee, but Drebin has been super, super strong as of late, and not as of late, for quite a while. Just a really, really nice colt. What do we got next? This is going to be interesting too. Number 2 is a horse that it took a long time to sell out. She beat me with Drebin fair and square the other day. Winner Bells. She has really, really shown up in a big way. This filly won, her full sister won the Battle of the Bells quite a while ago, but did win the Battle of the Bells. Play the Bell was her name. This is her full sister by Shadow Play, and she is all business on the track. What a sweetheart of a filly. Amy loves going with her. She can get a little grabby sometimes. She does wear a snake cord. She can get a little rank sometimes, but follows a helmet very well. And when you put her in gear, it's time to go. She really understands her work, and that is very, very hard. To have a horse in February understand their job completely, that's kind of a rare thing. It doesn't happen very often. And Winter Bells earns her spot into number 2. Just a very, very, very nice filly. Number 1, to beat the king, to be the king, you got to beat the king. And that goes the same for the queen. And Affection has been a filly that has done everything perfectly for quite a while now. And the thing I love the most about her, she just does it in such a matter-of-fact way. Like, it's nothing. I just a very talented horse. Doesn't appear that she takes her talent for granted. She'll put the work in, but she does it very, very easily. And what a beautiful filly. Just goes out there and does her work. Now, she couldn't get to Venice Blue Chip, but I couldn't get to her with Arson. down the lane. That's how hard we were going. And put a couple of steps in. I know that they didn't put the bell boots on her this week, which was fine. Sometimes this time of year, especially, not so much this track as in Ontario, but you'll see those bell boots start to rub them a little bit. Could be a little calcium on the track, could be dry heels, could be a lot of things. So if there's a little redness there or any chafing of any kind, I've told them just to leave them off and see if they're all right like that. Now, Affection did put a couple of steps in down the lane, never ran. She knows what she can do. She knows what she can't do. She's very aware of how fast she is and how strong she is. You can put her on the front. You can sit in a hole. You can come first over with her. It doesn't seem to matter what you do with her. She's always the horse to beat on the track. And I say it all the time, and it means nothing, but winners win. And when you go out and put an effort in, that just, when she's on the track, you notice her. Doesn't matter if there's 8 horses in the training set, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter. You're paying attention to her. She is a beautiful filly. She is put together very, very well, and I think she's going to have a very bright future. So fair is fair, and they haven't beaten her. So yeah, realistically, in reality, they beat her the other day. Venice beat her, but this is the time of year when the pacers do start to beat the trotters. It's not that when you're going in 240, 230, not as much, but when you start really stepping on the accelerator, they're supposed to beat them. So Venice Blue Chip held off Affection the other day, but man, what a nice filly she is. So for the Cross family, who own the vast majority of Affection, you got yourself a nice filly. For everybody else that got small portions of Affection, you got yourself a nice filly. I sadly do not own any of Affection, but fair is fair, and she is, I would think, the top of the heap right now. Now, when you step back and look, Affection is a Father Patrick. Memory and Imagination is a Father Patrick. Lonely Lakewood, he's not on the list this week because he's off, but Lonely Lakewood, who is our number 1 in Ontario, is a Father Patrick. So, we took a big risk with Father Patrick this year. So far, I'm happy with it as we go to February the 25th to 26th, 2023. I'm super happy with what I've seen from the Father Patricks, and I'm sure you are too. And the fact that Path of Totality is about to have a Father Patrick filly or colt is exciting also. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. A 22-minute top 10 list, but it's such a beautiful day here. I'm going to do all my videos on the way home with Amy and the kids. It should be a fun drive back to Ontario. Take care.